Part 120. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 1191. After seeing what happened here, the man who shouted just now strengthened his determination. He strode directly to Qiu Jian and said to him, "Open a hole for me. I want to get out." This person is Xiao from the Phantom Clan. In fact, he was just here to watch the fun, but he didn't expect to encounter such a thing. Looking at his actions now, it seems that he has a way to change the current situation of the human race. You. Qiu Jian looked at Xiao. In Xiao's eyes, Qiu Jian seemed to feel something. "I have to go. Don't you want to save your people? Your hesitation now will only waste the lives of your people." Xiao looked at Qiu Jian and said firmly. After hearing Xiao's words, Qiu Jian looked at the direction of the human race's defensive fortress, then directly drew his sword and pierced into the blue shield. As Qiu Jian's long sword thrust out, Xiao's body immediately fell to the ground limply, because this body of his was originally given to him by Li Yingning, and now he has just restored his original life form. Just after Xiao's body fell, the screams of the Nightmare King suddenly stopped, replaced by the pain-filled roar of the Nightmare King. "What? Who are you? How did you get into my body? Damn ants! Destroy me!" Puff 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 puff. Just when the Nightmare King roared, a series of sharp blade-cutting sounds interrupted his words. It was Wang Feng who arrived. Previously, because Wang Feng was closest to the Nightmare King, and because the Dance of Desire of the Nightmare King was a mental attack, specifically used to arouse people's negative emotions, Wang Feng, who had been walking all the way through the apocalypse, naturally felt that there is no shortage of such negative emotions, especially the departure of Lu Wanting, which made him sad. Although Wang Feng now has a chance to find Lu Wanting, but, after all, there is only hope. Wang Feng is not sure whether he can truly see his lover again. Therefore, now Wang Feng, regarding the Dance of Desire of the Nightmare King, basically there is no resistance. In order not to lose his mind, Wang Feng had to keep himself away from the Nightmare King. However, after the Nightmare King's voice was cut off, Wang Feng immediately came to him and used the Xian Yuan sword to directly dismantle the Nightmare King. 8 Yuan. Madman. I'll try to see if I can take him with me, but he's too strong and a bit uncertain. If I fail, I'll have to rely on you. Goodbye. I'm very happy to meet the human race. I'm really happy. Thank you. A soul sound transmission suddenly entered Wang Feng's mind at this time. It was Xiao's voice. It was him just now who directly abandoned his body, restored his original life form, and entered the body of the Nightmare King. Interrupted his mental attack, and then launched an attack on the Nightmare King. The King of Nightmares never thought that there was a creature with the same life form as himself among the human race. He was caught off guard and suffered a big loss, but after all, he had absorbed endless negative energy, so his power is far beyond what Xiao, a member of the Phantom tribe, can match. Fortunately, Wang Feng seized the opportunity just now to disintegrate the body of the Nightmare King and put away everything that could be stored in Xian Yuan space. Now only the left chest of the Nightmare King is left, which was cut off. Outside, this is where the body of the Nightmare King lies. After feeling that he could not compete with the King of Nightmares, Xiao finally made the same decision as Lu Wanting, which was to self-destruct. In particular, his life form is basically the same as that of the Nightmare King, so his self-destruction will definitely severely damage the Nightmare King, especially now that both of them are in the Nightmare King's left chest. Little fish. Wang Feng silently shouted in his heart that he knew what Xiao was going to do, but he was powerless to stop it and could not stop it. The King of Nightmares was so powerful that even with all the power of the human race, he could not defeat him. If Xiao hadn't stepped forward, the human race would have ended in failure again this time. Swell. A soft sound came from the remaining body of the Nightmare King. Xiao finally blew himself up. However, perhaps due to the different life forms, Xiao's self-destruction did not seem to have much power. Wang Feng looked at the left chest and found that there was no change. Then he stabbed it directly with the Xianyuan sword, but there was still no response, so Wang Feng simply put the left chest into the Xianyuan space. When Xianyuan space collects living objects, if the consciousness of the living body resists, he cannot absorb them. Only inanimate objects can be collected by Wang Feng at will. This is why Wang Feng was able to collect the nightmare objects before. The other parts of the king's body were collected, because the consciousness of the Nightmare King was not in those bodies, so it was not considered a living body. When the left breast was also put away, Wang Feng finally breathed a sigh of relief. Since it could be put into the Xianyuan space, then the King of Nightmares should have been dragged down to hell by Xiao. However, before Wang Feng had time to thank Xiao in his heart, he heard a burst of laughter in his mind. Ha 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 ha! Stupid humans! Prepare to die? Thank you for your body. I didn't expect it to be more perfect than my original body, so I'll accept it. This is clearly the voice of the Nightmare King. He is not dead? In shock, Wang Feng quickly entered Xianyuan space and saw a faint black mist floating in mid-air in Xianyuan space. Xiao's self-destruction did indeed bring heavy damage to the Nightmare King, but the body of the Nightmare King also has a very abnormal recovery ability. As long as he is given enough time, he can also fully recover. However, after Xiao's self-destruct, the Nightmare King knew very well that Wang Feng would not give himself time to heal, and because he was directly attacked by Xiao when he launched a mental attack, plus Xiao's after self-destructing, his body was also greatly damaged, and the most important thing was that the negative emotions he had accumulated over the years had almost been exhausted. Although he has embarked on the endless road many times, most of the gains he obtained each time were used to strengthen himself, so he did not have much inventory, because he did not think that there would be an accident, and of course he would not keep it too much. Just enough to hold on until the next endless road. So originally his inventory was not much, but now with this series of battles and losses, he has run out of ammunition and food, so the Nightmare King did not move at that time because he was waiting. Wang Feng had a space and he was and the most important thing is that the controller badge must be in that space. As long as he enters that space, the Nightmare King can find the controller badge, and then with the help of the energy inside, the Nightmare King can recover instantly and seize Wang Feng's body. The King of Nightmares, who had fought with Wang Feng, of course knew that Wang Feng was very strong, but he was sure of winning before, so he didn't want to take risks. Now that this is the case, he might as well just take this guy's body. Especially the King of Nightmares did not expect that the Xianyuan space would be so large, which would bring him so many benefits. He even thought that he could transform this space in the future and raise some creatures in it to prepare for his emergencies. Seeing Wang Feng's consciousness coming, the Nightmare King was even more proud. He just wanted to attract Wang Feng in and kill his consciousness, so that Wang Feng's body would belong to him. As long as he gave him some time, he will be able to completely control this body, and it will not be too late to deal with the human race when the time comes. Human ant, you really dare to come in, but it's okay, I just want to thank you in person, thank you for helping me collect so many. How did those guys tell you? Oh. The controller's mark, right? Ha 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 ha. Come on. The black mist directly transformed into the shape of the Nightmare King, but the nose and eyes could not be distinguished clearly. While laughing wildly, he reached out and made a move. The controller badge that was originally thrown by Wang Feng in the corner of Xianyuan space actually turned directly into the shape of the Nightmare King. It flew over and fell into the hands of the Nightmare King where the black mist condensed. Ha 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 ha. You can't believe that what you are fighting for is actually what I want, and, you. The Nightmare King's voice stopped suddenly. Even though it was just the gathering of black mist, you could still feel that he was in a daze looking at the controller badge. The King of Nightmares never expected that there would be only one spot of light in this controller's badge. In other words, is there a controller mark here? How could there be only such a few wronged souls in the endless tower with more than 10,000 floors? In fact, as long as you wear the controller badge, the souls of the killed creatures, as long as they have negative emotions, will be absorbed by the controller badge, so regardless of whether the so-called controller mark is condensed on that layer, the badges will be very rewarding. After all, the prerequisite for victory is to kill 40% of the Guardian race, and the creatures that were killed definitely had negative emotions. I have never heard of anyone who was still alive when they were killed. I was as elated as if I had won a jackpot. But the Nightmare King felt that not only was there a flashing point of light in this controller's badge, but it was also completely empty, with nothing in it. In other words, his plan completely failed, and because he had not resisted before, he entered the Xianyuan space, so even the chance to escape was lost. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 1192. Seeing the appearance of the Nightmare King, Wang Feng suddenly wanted to laugh, and he was now very grateful to Gongsun Xianyuan. Although he did not do what he said, the controller's badge became what it is now, and it was basically all thanks to Gongsun Xianyuan. Gongsun Xianyuan had said before that after he came into contact with the energy seal, the Xianyuan sword could replace the controller badge and absorb those controller marks. However, because Wang Feng had no intention of collecting the controller marks, he did not take his words to heart, and did not directly destroy the controller badge as he said. But because the controller badge is placed in Xianyuan space, and Wang Feng is still the master of Xianyuan space still absorbs all the energy in the controller badge. And those souls with negative emotions were directly transformed into energy by Xianyuan space, and were no longer suitable for the King of Nightmares. In fact, if Wang Feng really follows what Gongsun Xianyuan said, he may not be able to completely kill the Nightmare King, because the space outside them is endless, and the Nightmare King has lost his own body. If he just wanted to escape, Wang Feng really wouldn't be able to catch up with him. But because Wang Feng did not destroy the controller's badge and took it out for a look before, the Nightmare King concluded that the controller's badge was in Wang Feng's space. Otherwise, how could the Nightmare King enter Wang Feng's space so easily? The Xianyuan space of the wind? It was this move of the Nightmare King that made him lose even the chance to escape. After discovering that there was nothing in the controller's badge, the Nightmare King finally panicked. He quickly looked at Wang Feng and said, "Human race. Actually, you don't have to kill me. I have never killed a creature with my own hands. Even that idiot just now, no, that hero, he also self-destruct. It has nothing to do with me. And I know a lot of secrets here, and I can tell you them all. When the time comes, you humans will be able to kill all other races and control the entire universe." Puff. Before the Nightmare King finished speaking, Wang Feng directly mobilized the energy in Xianyuan space, tore him into pieces, and then transformed him into pure energy. If there is only the human race in this universe, then does the human race still have any meaning in existence? Wang Feng looked at the place where the Nightmare King disappeared and said lightly. Then, his figure flashed and left the Xianyuan space. At this time, the chaos in the human race had long since subsided, and they also knew everything about the things here through Qingxuan, because Qian was in Wang Feng's Xianyuan space and witnessed everything that happened. After learning that the Nightmare King had been completely destroyed, Duan Lei and the others finally breathed a sigh of relief and began to deal with the aftermath. Although the previous chaos ended with the appearance of Xiao, many people died in Lufeng. In their hands. Now, of course, everyone has recovered, but when they think of the previous situation, they are still scared, and they do not have any resentment towards Lu Feng and others, just like the father who was sober for a moment but committed suicide. They hope to die in the hands of their relatives, but they are even more unwilling to have their relatives die in their own hands. What do you think? Wang Feng looked at the cylinder in front of him and asked lightly. Just now, Wang Feng entered the blue shield directly, and then brought Duan Lei and others out, and explained the cylinder to them carefully. Because the consciousness of the Nightmare King dissipated in Wang Feng's Xianyuan space, his memory was naturally obtained by Wang Feng. Duan Lei and the others looked at the cylinder, and everyone had expressions of wonder, even Dong Huangtai and others. They really couldn't imagine that the universe they lived in was actually in such a pretending place. It is in a cylinder like a glass jar of medicinal wine. Although the cylinder extends downward infinitely, as if there is no end, it gives the impression that if you install a faucet on it, it will be a super large medicinal wine jar. Brother Feng, didn't you say that? This is called the peak of creation. Being able to control it is equivalent to controlling the entire universe. Although it is a bit exaggerated, but this is definitely much better than being the controller. Well, it is probably considered the pinnacle of control, right? Mars said carelessly, with an envious look on his face. For him, this kind of power is simply unbelievable. If there is a blind race like the cosmic ghost in the future, let him directly say through this, the cosmic ghost is the enemy of the world. Then the cosmic ghosts were directly wiped out by other races. After hearing his words, Duan Lei couldn't help but think of the prophecy, refuse to control the top and enter the world of reincarnation. I think we should smash it. Wang Feng shook his head and said. There shouldn't be any controllers in this world. This kind of absolute power will absolutely corrupt people. No matter who he was before, once he is addicted to the power in his hands, he will change. And I don't want to do this. Change. Looking back at everyone, especially Lu Feng and Tang Haoshan, Gui Wuovong and other apocalyptic survivors who followed him all the way. Do you still remember the biggest wish we had in our hearts when the apocalypse had just arrived and zombies were rampant? Hearing Wang Feng's words, all the survivors from Atlantis slowly raised their heads and looked into the dark distance. They certainly remembered that what they wanted at the beginning was the ordinary life before the end of the world. Perhaps, that kind of life, with laughter, troubles, anxiety, joy, singing, tears, and the daily necessities of life, is the real life. Seeing that everyone stopped talking, Wang Feng winked at Qiu Jian, and then brought the others to the platform. Qiu Jian understood and directly grabbed the long sword, covered it with the power of destruction, and then swung it towards the cylinder. Pa! After a crisp shattering sound, several white lights shot directly at Wang Feng, surrounding him, and then the stars in the sky poured out, instantly filling this dark space, and continuously towards the distance, and then extend again. Ha ha! This place looks so familiar. Li Yingning looked at the street in front of him and couldn't help but smile. Now, it has been unknown how many years since they smashed the top of the world. After those stars poured out of the cylinder and filled the dark space, they witnessed the birth of a universe with their own eyes. Moreover, according to Wang Feng, this universe will not have the distinction between the main universe and the secondary universe, and there will be no controller. Everything is operated by the rules of heaven and earth, just like the rising and setting of the sun, the ebb and flow of the tide. Afterwards, under the leadership of Dong Huangtai and Fuxi, the human race found a galaxy closest to the previous mother star galaxy and settled there. They called the new mother star Earth, because Wang Feng said that the name Earth is good and will be known to everyone in the world in the future. Wang Feng disappeared not long after the human race settled down. According to Duan Lei, Wang Feng went to the world of reincarnation to look for Lu Wanting. As for what the world of reincarnation is, Duan Lei said he didn't know, he just knew that it was said in the prophecy. After living on Earth for a while, Lu Feng and others drove a space battleship to explore the universe. In their words, although they hoped for a peaceful life in the end of the world, after experiencing so much, this peaceful life could no longer adapt to them. The three little ones also left with them. They said they wanted to find their own people, but Qian and Kingsun did not leave. They traveled around the mountains and rivers every day and had a lot of fun. Li Yingning also left alone. Now that number 7 is gone, there is only one devourer in the entire universe. He also wants to go around and see what is different about this new universe from the previous one. The planet now is the one that Li Yingning discovered by chance. When he first arrived, the planet was completely covered with ice and snow. Because he had never seen such a planet, and the galaxy where the planet was located was similar to that of the Earth, Li Yingning stayed here for a while. Who knew that when he entered the center of the planet, the crust of the planet suddenly changed, and even the interior of the planet changed. Li Yingning, who was not prepared, was trapped in a strange space in the center of the Earth. Fortunately, Li Yingning was a devourer, and before Wang Feng left, he gave him enough life energy to rebuild the devourer clan. Therefore, although he was trapped in the center of the Earth for hundreds of millions of years, Li Yingning was still alive. But when he finally got rid of the predicament and returned to the ground, he was surprised to find that the planet, which was originally frozen, had become full of vitality, and humans had even appeared. Li Yingning was stunned, so he walked over. What surprised him was that the words these people spoke were also a common language. Could it be that the human race had immigrated to this planet? However, when Li Yingning came to a city, he was stunned and said the previous sentence after a long while. Because the layout of the city is exactly the same as that of Black Dragon City, and the place where Li Yingning is now is the bridgehead of Black Dragon Bridge. After staying for a while, Li Yingning suddenly walked forward and came directly to the location of the original headquarters of Hope Base, the Blue Water Garden, but there is no Blue Water Garden here now, just some low-rise residential buildings, and at this time, 2 children with school bags on their backs attracted Li Yingning's attention. I was so unlucky yesterday. If I knew the Doomsday Judgment, I would have won. Bah! Even if you learn the Doomsday Judgment, it's useless. I'm carrying Black Dragon. Do you know immunity? You just said the Doomsday Judgment. Yes. Uncle. Do you also know the Doomsday Judgment? No yet. But I don't know if we are talking about the same one. What does the Doomsday Judgment you are talking about look like? It's a bunch of fireballs falling from the sky, hitting the ground heavily, and the magic that can kill all creatures is called the Doomsday Judgment. Is that so? Then it seems that we are talking about the same Doomsday Judgment. Really? Uncle? You also play Heroes of Might and Magic? You have also seen this magic on the computer, right? Isn't it quite gorgeous? So spectacular. Gorgeous? Spectacular? No. Uncle doesn't think there is anything good about this magic, because it brings disaster. This Doomsday Judgment, Uncle has not seen it, but experienced it? Haha. Uncle is bragging. Uncle is not bragging, maybe, you will experience it in the future. Huh? That's Ting Ting. Ting Ting. I'm Xiaofeng, wait for me. One of the children suddenly shouted, and then ran forward quickly. The other child suddenly became anxious and shouted. Madman! Why are you running so fast? Wait for me. Li Yingning stood up and watched the 3 familiar but strange figures gradually disappearing. Suddenly he smiled. Uncle is really not bragging, but, hee. It turns out that this is the world of reincarnation. The instructor raised his head and looked at the blue sky. In the distant universe, a huge space fleet was flying towards a prosperous galaxy. The whole book is over.